Oh my god. What? What? It keeps going?
What? No, you can't send a picture.
No.
Holy shit.
You know that sense of duty that you feel as a man to protect a woman's privacy and uphold her dignity? You know, keep intimate details about her to yourself, use discretion, don't share private information with your friends. Well, it turns out many women do not feel that same obligation to men. That private message that you sent just to her about your thoughts and your feelings, that's just become a source of entertainment for her and her friends. When women said to men, "We want you to open up and share more," men did not realize it was so that she would have more content and entertainment to share with her friends. And this is normal for lots of women. They show each other the text that men send and they have a big laugh. It's just assumed that everything that you send her, everything that you tell her, is going to be traded amongst her friends for social currency and amusement.
We men have honor and integrity, but the women's, they are all Jezebels. I'm sorry, but the second I hear somebody pitting the groups of men and women against each other like it's good versus evil, like it's the race of elves against the hordes of Mordor, I know I am listening to pandering. There is so much wrong with that clip, and I think it's important that we have a chat about it. It could be valuable. And to start off, I will say the creator in that video, Alexander Grace, often does raise some good points and information at times with his content, at least to the extent of my exposure to it. But the underlying energy and message, and I can't deny this, in my opinion, it is one of pervasive victimhood. It's not actually empowering men, it is pandering to them to profit off of their fears and wounds. And I don't blame them. Pandering to chronically online audiences is a lucrative business model in the modern world, but I will knock the hustle every time because I think it is misguided and misleading. Yes, many men need to be heard and validated in their painful experiences and have their wounds addressed with greater empathy and care. That is important. But the type of guys who consume content like this consistently, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that they are not the type of men who are or will ever be successful with women. And I'm not sure such guys even fully realize that the overconsumption of such content is actually just adding jet fuel onto the dumpster fire that is their love life. I don't know, it's like for some men, their anger and disdain towards women is the only thing that can keep them warm at night. Yes, many women share things that they shouldn't, but a lot of those things that they shouldn't be sharing shouldn't have been shared with them in the first place. And no, I'm not talking about not being vulnerable with the woman you love. Vulnerability is essential to deeply intimate and fulfilling relationships. No, the video was about a guy sending a whole dissertation to a woman that he'd only been on 2 dates with. That is not vulnerability. That is emotionally unhinged. Let's not point out the sticks in anyone else's eyes without addressing the logs in our own. Accountability is for everyone. Let's look at this from another angle. Scarce few men ever experience being pursued by a woman, and multiple women, forget about it. But I have never in my life met a woman who does not have stories of relentless exes or creeps who would not take no for an answer, or random dudes having angry conversations with themselves in her DMs for 6 months or more. These are simply not things that men experience at the rates women do. So maybe it's less about women being these horrible, immoral creatures and more about the fact that most men just don't get as many opportunities to behave in a similar fashion. And sure, I think women are more likely to be championed in their victimhood, but I guarantee you, if more men were on the receiving end of having the women that they have rejected making desperate fools of themselves, submitting 500-word essays and unsolicited nudes, there would be a lot more sharing with the crew happening. And yeah, sure, I think women are more likely than men to open up and share their personal matters with their social circle and seek advice and validation from their friend friend group, but that's not always a bad thing. In fact, I think many men could benefit from being a little bit less of an island. It's sad how quick men and women are to demonize their differences rather than see their potential as complementary strengths. My woman is far more empathetic than I am. She does emotionally intentional things that would have never occurred to me in 5 lifetimes. And it's a beautiful thing. Sure, sometimes I do not understand the way she processes and communicates her emotions, especially during conflict resolution. It can feel irrational or frustrating to me in those moments, but I also know she definitely feels the same way about the way that I think and act sometimes. I think healthy relationships can only truly start when we stop projecting and expecting an exact reflection of ourselves from other people. And if you do start going down this road of villainizing women while pedestalizing men, or vice versa, like the radical feminist types do, you will become increasingly incapable of relationships with each other. Well, that's unless you can find yourself an absolute doormat of a human being to put up with your bullshit. I'm going to tell you 2 stories from my own life to add a little of my own skin to the conversation. Believe it or not, once upon a time, I was the nice guy. And I was the guy who sent pages and pages of emotional vulnerability after being repeatedly cheated on. I was later told by a mutual friend that my ex was reading my messages and laughing about them with her new boyfriend. That left a very deep wound, and I can't tell you that I handled it very well at that time in my life. I didn't know then what I knew now, but I wouldn't know what I know now if I didn't go through what I went through then. So, and I also played high-level sports growing up, and it was not uncommon for the boys to pass around the nudes that girls were sending or talk in detail about their sexcapades. So let's not sit on some high horse talking about how men have some moral code that women don't. That is such self-righteous bullshit. Most men just aren't the caliber to have Rolodexes of nudes and rosters of women acting crazy over them. People with options tend to exploit said options, and people without options tend to lie to themselves that they wouldn't. Which is also why I think women are actually more loyal than men as well. The average woman has far more options and access to sex whenever and wherever she wants. Lily Phillips and Bonnie Blue literally just had 1,000 men stand in line to stick it in one after the other for 12 hours straight like some STD conveyor belt. I guarantee you, if you gave the average man the access to sexual opportunity that the average woman has, it would destroy them. I'm starting to get a little off topic now. Look, this type of behavior starts to decrease as people's frontal lobes develop, or at least I hope it does. Men and women in their 30s are far less likely to be airing out their privates in the group chat and with their friends who are getting married and starting families of their own. And if they are still acting like they are in high school in their late 20s and entering their 30s, abort mission. Choose relationships and friendships wisely. I think I'm finally getting around to the point of this video. Just eliminate the issue before it even starts. Stop sending nudes. Never send dick pics. And stop sending foolish, emotionally psychotic text messages. You are not Andrew Tate, so stop sending self-incriminating evidence via electronic devices. Bro, if you are texting her a 5-page affidavit because you were rejected after date number 2, you have major psychological and emotional issues that need to be addressed. All of the comments talking about that's why a man should never open up with a woman. Grow up. Texting like that is not vulnerability. Emotionally manipulative word vomit is not opening up with a woman. Yes, rejection hurts, and ghosting is unfair and cruel and cowardly. But sending that text to express everything that you have ever felt since your third birthday is legitimately crazy. And if you send stuff like that, of course, she's going to share it with someone else. To be honest, she probably should, for her own safety and in case she needs some witnesses for legal purposes. Guys, please stop communicating about your affairs of the heart over text. Stop trying to resolve conflict over text. Texting is the lowest form of human-to-human communication possible. There is no tone. There is no body language. There is no connection. It is all just projection and interpretation, and we are far more likely to go full keyboard warrior and say way too much. And we say things that we can't take back. I know it's easier said than done, and I still have to catch myself in the heat of the moment sometimes, but it's just the truth. Conflict resolution and emotionally sensitive conversations do not belong in a text message bubble. This will help protect your relationships, and it will also keep all of your business out of the screenshots. If you are in a relationship, have the emotional maturity and frame to stop and say, hey, I know we are both feeling upset right now, so let's talk in person tonight, because texting is too impersonal and leaves us both feeling unheard and unvalued. I value you and our relationship too much to go back and forth on here. It'll be hard at first, and they may even get upset with you for putting your foot down, but I promise you, if you hold your ground, even when they kick and scream, their respect for you will increase. Just make sure you actually set aside time to have a proper conversation in person. And if you experience anything like that video, if you get rejected after a couple of dates, do not go sending them a 10-page legal document, because you will end up on blast in the group chat for that.